We've got another unfolding controversy to look into today, folks, as we discuss the departure of Peter Zhang, former coach for the League of Legends team for TSM, who has recently been let go due to some very troubling allegations that are still unfolding. And that is why, despite the fact that the announcement of the termination came a couple of days ago, I waited till today to cover it because we got information just now coming to light. And some of it is still coming out. There are still some details yet unconfirmed. There's still more things that might be unveiled in the future, but right now is a good time to get a perspective on the story, take a look at what people are saying, take a look at what TSM themselves have said, and see what exactly we're dealing with. TSM made the following statement on the 18th. We were recently made aware of very serious allegations of conflict of interest and unethical practices against League of Legends coach Peter Zhang. After an initial investigation, we have terminated him effective immediately. We are working with external legal counsel to complete a full investigation. And for a while, this is all we knew, leading to a lot of speculation as to what the alleged conflicts of interest might have been. Additional information came on social media, though, via Reddit. In the comments on a post regarding the firing, LCS Commissioner Jackie Felling added the following detail. Nothing to do with match fixing. This is an internal team matter. Not making a statement from Riot at all, but I don't want people to think this had anything remotely to do with match fixing or betting, which it does not. In addition, the following Discord screenshot shows Zhang himself talking about his dismissal from the job. I will write a post later about my situation, but thanks for the journey with everyone, and please keep supporting TSM. I did some mistake, and I guess it's bigger enough, I got immediately released. So what exactly did he allegedly do? Well, this is where things get a little bit complicated, but I'm going to do my best to lay things out simply for you. Firstly, he's accused of effectively selling spots on the team to prospective players, according to some exclusive sources reporting to Dexerto, stating, quote, he had used his coaching position for self-enrichment via the method of taking money in exchange for ensuring certain Taiwanese or Chinese players were added to the roster. For guaranteeing their acquisition to TSM, he would take a proportion of their earnings paid as a fee, essentially positioning himself as simultaneously a team coach and international agent. Further complicating matters, he also allegedly asked team members for loans, borrowing different sums in the tens of thousands from various players, generally under the guise of needing to pay for his grandmother's medical bills, including active players and former TSM player Doublelift, who claims he was asked for $70,000.
I do not want to say who he has 200K from, but what I will say is that he got multiple players on TSM to send him anywhere between 12 and 25K. And then that same day, those players, before that wire transfer went through, those players canceled it and like saved their money. Like, because it takes a long time for lump sums like that to be delivered to the recipient, they were able to cancel the transaction. One of my friends told me he was literally about to send them like several $1,000s. And as he was about to press send, as he was about to send it, the information for the recipient is like on, right? It shows on like the bank UI, like who's receiving the money. And it was Sword Art's name under the bank account. Dude, the guy who's literally in charge of your job, who's in charge of whether or not you have a job on the team, is asking to borrow you money. You know, there's a bit of a sketchy situation when you feel like saying no to a guy's grandma's cancer surgery who can decide to replace you the next week.
Which leads us to yet another layer to this whole mess, the fact that he allegedly owed money to another pro player, Sword Art, who during his time in TSM when he was here in the States had a car, and after he moved back to China, asked Peter Zhang to sell the car and then transfer him the money. And Zhang did the first part of that. According to Zhang himself, he intended on paying Sword Art back and admits he was wrong to keep the money, but again states he needed the money to pay for his grandmother's medical bills, which is what led to him asking players for money to then pay back to Sword Art, who threatened to reveal the story to the public if he wasn't repaid. As Zhang describes it, I recognized that keeping the money was wrong, but I was working towards paying that debt and paid half before I was fired. My grandmother's bill was due at the end of the month, and so I wasn't able to pay both debts. I was having a very hard financial time, but I will pay back every penny to Sword Art. The other claims against my person are not true. It is common in China for friends and colleagues to loan each other money. I have learned a hard lesson about the cultural differences in America. I will work with Riot in any investigation and have the evidence necessary to prove my innocence. Right now, there's little decisive evidence proving where all the money has gone, whether or not Doublelift's statements regarding him donating large sums to streamers is true, or even if he really has a sick grandma.
He goes on Chinese streaming sites and finds like attractive girl streamers and donates them like a stupid amount of money.
Reportedly, most of the players involved have gotten their money back, which is a positive slice of this story, but there may be yet further revelations as time goes on, as TSM's investigation into the matter is still ongoing. And as you heard in that statement, Zhang still maintains his innocence in all matters other than the money lending situation with Sword Art. Whatever the situation, Zhang is definitely out of coaching for good, at least when it comes to TSM. But that leads me into the question, what, if anything, do you think is going to be the end result of all this? Do you believe some or any of Zhang's story when it comes to how he is covering himself here? How far into things do you think the claims against him, whether they are from TSM or from Doublelift, do you think that any or all of them are absolutely ironclad, absolutely true? Let me know what your thoughts are on the situation with the perspective you've gotten, with anything else you've been hearing. If there's any more updates on the story, as I'm sure there will be. I'm sure we'll be hearing some more on this at the very least as the investigation concludes, although it's hard to tell how long that'll be. I will let you know via another video. But for right now, folks, that's all I've got for you. So I must thank you once again for joining me, and as always, ask you to have yourselves a good one.